What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show. We got some big news for you guys here for Social Security, Medicaid, SSI, SSDI in this video with several changes here on the block that we will go over here. If you've been watching my show, you know that there's a lot going on here in 2023 that they are discussing here, and we'll cover several of it here in this video. Also, thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos, especially here today because, well, it's my birthday today. That's right. If you watched my previous video, you got to see a special guest appearance at the end of in the video. And if you haven't yet, if you haven't seen that video, I'll link you to that video at the end of this video. Yeah, so let's jump right in. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here on our channel every day. All right, here we go. Let's jump right in. Okay, former Vice President Mike Pence, who also might be running for president here again for the Republican Party, still a voice in the Republican Party as well, and mirrors kind of what some people are thinking here as well, says changes to Social Security and Medicare should be on the table long term. I'll let you hear what he says. I'm not, I'll kind of explain it here. So take a listen to this. Also note here, when they talk about entitlements, remember that Social Security is, I remember that first when I first heard this, I remember entitlement sounds like a nasty word. But remember, Social Security, you're entitled to Social Security because you paid into it. So entitled is actually a good word because you're entitled to the benefits. Yeah, take a listen.
The debt ceiling, front and center. Both sides seem to be entrenched. I understand both sides. I think during the Trump administration, Democrats voted for clean raises from time to time. They say, why not do that now? That's what the president wants. But I can see where Speaker McCarthy says, when do we get a chance to really, focus on these huge debt issues that we have? Now is the time to do it, or we'll get another omnibus bill in December that we can't control. Who's right, and how does it get reconciled?
Well, I mean, the Constitution requires that we maintain the full faith and credit of the United States, and the Congress is going to figure that out. But I commend Speaker McCarthy for saying that we ought to make a down payment on fiscal discipline in a very real sense. Look, the issue is spending. As I travel all across this country, families are hurting. I mean, inflation ignited to a 40-year high after the Democrat Congress 2 years ago spent $1.9 trillion in unnecessary COVID spending, another trillion nearly at the end of that Democrat majority. So I'm glad to see the Republican majority saying we need to use this debt ceiling to start us back in the direction of fiscal discipline. But look, we all know where the real issue is in terms of long-term debt for the United States. And that is that, while I respect the Speaker's commitment to take Social Security and Medicare off the table for the debt ceiling negotiations, we've got to put them on the table in the long term. And right now, President Biden's policy is insolvency. I mean, we're looking at a debt crisis in this country over the next 25 years that is driven by entitlements, and nobody in Washington, D.C. wants to talk about it. I've been going around the country. I'm going to continue to try and do my part.
Are you talking about
with
entitlements?
The American people.
What would you do about entitlements?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to explain to people what's going on. We got a $32 trillion national debt right now, Andrew. Having a national debt the same size as our nation's economy is unsustainable. Last time that happened was right after World War II.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just curious, what's on the for you on entitlements, what's on the table?
Well, I think it begins with education. It begins with having the American people understand that it doesn't stop at $32 trillion. I mean, when you look at the deficits that are projected over the next 30 years in Social Security and Medicare and other areas, it's about another $120 trillion. I mean, literally, I just had 2 granddaughters born 2 weeks ago in 2 days. Our family's incredibly blessed. Looking down at those little girls, I think of their 30th year. We could have $150 trillion in debt in this country. And if we wait to deal with it,
But would you mean test Social Security? Would you? I mean, I think that when you get down to the The brass tacks, that's the complicated part.
Eventually,
That's why I said, what is on the table in terms of
you're
what you
going to have to do something eventually. But Jim Bullard just called it the third rail. How long has it been the third rail of American politics? It's always been the third rail. You have never seen two parties run for it more quickly than we just saw again. All President Biden has to say is they're going to do something with Social Security and Medicare, and then all of a sudden the Republicans get scared. Oh, no, 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 we never would. So that's not helping anyone, and we're never going to address it.
Well, that's right.
There's an election every 2 years.
What you need is presidential leadership. And the fact is that President Biden is abdicating his opportunity to provide real leadership and say, first, Andrew, and I'm not dodging at all. There's lots of good ideas to solve this that are common sense, that don't impact people at the point of the need, that don't affect anybody that's going to retire in the next 25 years. I mean, you can phase in, just like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill did 50 years ago. They raised the retirement age to 67. They made Social Security solvent until 2009. There are things that you could do in personal savings accounts in the long term, allowing younger Americans to get a higher rate of return, which you all talk about, the great American economy every day. But these are all ideas. The first job is to be straight. The second job is
the natural
get everybody at the table.
Yeah, so he dodged the question a little bit, typical politician talk there. I can give you some more context on it. So I think that, he talked about in the past how they raised the retirement age, 62 to 65 to 67. And that is one of the options on the table again, potentially raising it to age 70, which really is way up there, way up there. The other things are raising Social Security taxes, okay? One of the big things is they're talking is raising it on the wealthy, okay? That actually goes with the plan that Senator Bernie Sanders has, which is a very, very popular plan that I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, here you go. Social Security proposal for $2,400 extra in checks expanded and reintroduced in Congress. Yeah, here just a few days ago, Senator Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and other Democrats are once again trying to give retirees an additional $2,400 in their Social Security checks. Just introduced with new details for 2023 here, but largely will need a few Republican votes here, which is the key. That is the key. Senator Bernie Sanders says, at a time when nearly half of older Americans have no retirement savings at all, and almost 50% of our nation's seniors are trying to survive on an income of less than $25,000 a year. Remember, the average working income is about $50-some thousand a year now. Our job is not to cut Social Security. Our job is to expand Social Security so that every senior in America can retire with the dignity that they deserve, and every person with a disability can live with the security they need. Yeah, so every person with disabilities as well can live with the security they need. Yeah, and what this would do is this would make it so that people that make over $250,000 would start paying back into the Social Security taxes. Because right now, they stop paying into Social Security taxes at about $162,000, which last year was only about $147,000. Yeah, so this is pretty significant. And raising these taxes on high income earners making over $250,000 would bring in so much money because it would be 6.2%, and the 6.2% that the employer would pay 12.4%, but I believe that they would make the person pay all of it. I don't think the employer would pay it, so the person would pay 12.4%, depending on how it would be enacted and passed. It would be an additional 12.4% for all that extra money. People make millions and millions or even billions of dollars. It'd be a lot of money coming into Social Security. It would not only be enough money to pay out an additional $2,400 a year for everybody on Social Security benefits, but also would extend the solvency for 75 years. And that is what Social Security says. They had their mathematicians, their own congressional budget office, basically do the math on this. Okay. Now, all they really need is like 10 Republicans, or actually 9 Republicans in the Senate, 60 votes in the Senate to pass this, and a few Republicans in the House, something like somewhere around 10 or so votes in the House as well, if all the Democrats voted for it, which probably would happen. So, yeah. Now that bill alone, based on what Social Security says, they did the math on it. Social Security is not Republican, they're not Democrat, they're literally just they're not, they're unpartisan. Okay, that bill alone, raising the taxes on that, would increase the solvency by 75 years. Okay, there's also other proposals to. I've seen a proposal to raise Social Security taxes on all working income by 1% for everybody. So everybody working would pay an additional 1%. They're talking about raising Social Security age. And honestly, if they do nothing, if they kick the can down the road for, remember the latest Congressional Budget Office report said that Social Security could run out of money in as early as 9 years. If they do nothing for 9 more years, you know what's going to happen, right? They're going to have to cut Social Security and Medicaid, or Medicare, Medicaid, all these different things, right? They're going to have to cut because if they don't do anything and it runs out of money, what do you think is going to happen? Then this is the problem, is that they've been doing nothing, they've been doing nothing, they've been doing nothing for years and years and years and years, and years have been going by. They've known about this problem for decades, guys. That's why he talked about Ronald Reagan, and when they raised the retirement age to 65 and 67, and I don't even know off the top of my head what year it was, but they mentioned it there. That was decades ago. Okay, so this is how long they've known about the problem of Social Security needing to be tweaked, and things need to be changed, and more money. It's just been running out of money for a long time, right? The program things need to be tweaked, things need to be changed, and they haven't made changes to it for decades. So this is the problem. And I hate to say it, but they just got to make changes, guys. No matter what you want to hear, they can't. I see a lot of comments, don't touch our Social Security, don't make change. They have to make changes. They have to, or else it's going to run out of money. If we sit here for another year or 2 or 3 or 4, the closer and closer we get to it, and the more that means the more drastic the changes they have to make, because that's the more money runs out here, literally by the day, by the week, by the month. So let me know your thoughts here, and I'll have some more news here for you guys here in the next video that I didn't get to here in this video about Medicaid, Medicare, SSI, SSDI here in the next video. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. Just click the subscribe button, then the bell icon, so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. Here's some videos you can watch next as well. Here's the previous video I just did as well, which is about the U.S. giving a threat to China, and has a special guest appearance in it as well. Or here is Congress actually giving a warning to Americans, and tens of millions of them here as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.